People often get in trouble for the claims that they make about themselves. Like Muhammad Ali, when he declared, "I am the greatest," there was an uproar about that. How can you say that about yourself? And, how do you get to decide that you're the greatest? Of course, as time went by, people kind of went, well, yeah, he's the greatest boxer who ever lived. And then, like John Lennon said, that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. And everybody was in an uproar about that. Like, how could he make that claim? Probably the truth. At the time, the Beatles were probably more popular than Jesus was at that moment in history, at least with the cultural dynamic that he was talking about. And sometimes these claims, even though they may be true, when they're expressed, they create some discomfort for people, like Jesus. When Jesus was here on earth, he made some claims about himself. In the book of John, there's these 8 I am statements that Jesus makes. He says things like, "I am the resurrection and the life." He says, "I am the vine and you are the branches." He makes these I am claims. I think the biggest and most dangerous of all the claims he made was in John chapter 8, when Jesus said, "Before Abraham was, I am." You see, that's the I am statement that was really the most troubling to the religious leaders of Jesus' day, because that was a blasphemous statement. You see, God's name, Yahweh, means I am. I create, I cause to exist. This is how God had revealed himself to Moses in the burning bush. When Moses said, "What is your name?" the bush spoke and said, "I am Yahweh." And then when Jesus said, "Before Abraham was, I am," the response of the leaders was as they picked up stones on the spot to stone him because he was guilty in their eyes of blasphemy. The only issue is Jesus backed it up. And in the moment, they couldn't have known. In the moment, this was like the worst thing that Jesus could have said. That it was an assault to their senses and to their ears, and it was upsetting and it infuriated them, and they thought they were standing up for God. But the problem is God didn't need anybody to defend him. Jesus was revealing who he was, and that was actually a kindness in that moment. He was trying to help them understand that they were in the presence of the Messiah. When he declared, "I am," he was saying, listen, this is me. This is God in flesh. I've come as a Savior for you. And yet it was hard for people to recognize. I really believe that sometimes it's very kind for someone to just let you in on who they are. I have a friend who was at a movie premiere one time, and he was seated next to a guy, and they struck up a conversation, and then they ended up at the after party together, and they were hanging out all night, and they were talking about all kinds of different stuff, and a lot of the conversation revolved around what my friend did for a living. And towards the end of the night, my friend all of a sudden just went, "Oh, like, hey, what do you do for a living?" And the guy says, "Oh, I play music." And my friend said, "Really? Like anything I've heard of?" He goes, "I'm in a rock band." And my friend said, "Yeah, oh yeah, what band?" And he goes, "The Foo Fighters." And my friend went, "What?" The Foo Fighters were one of his favorite bands, but he just didn't recognize the guy. And he had been seated with him all night and at a party afterwards, and he'd spent all this time talking about himself. The other guy was cool with it, but my friend, he felt like he lost out on an opportunity to really ask some questions or learn a little bit more about this guy's world. You see, that's what Jesus was doing. He wanted us to know who he is. He was revealing himself. That's the thing about God. God may be mysterious to us because his ways are higher than ours and his thoughts are greater than ours, but he's in the revealing business. He's always showing us who he is. It's just sometimes it's a bit troubling. And so when Jesus made that claim, "I am," he was just saying, listen, I want you to know me. I want you to know who I am and what I've come to do. And he's still making himself known today. So when you are a part of revealing who he is, when you take on this identity where you say, hey, this is who I am. I'm a child of God. I'm a part of his kingdom. And you recognize that God is revealing himself through you. That is actually the greatest kindness you could ever give to this world. So make sure that you let God reveal himself through you.